What's your name and what's your game?
My name is James Primate, and I'm making a game called Rain World.
Where it's an animal-based game.
Yeah, pretty much. He plays this sort of fantasy creature that people have named a slug cat, and you've been separated from your family. You're lost in this big, crazy world, just kind of trying to survive.
So, the initial opening video, I don't know if I just played the demo, and I don't know if it's the same as the main game.
No,
but it seems like there was some sort of family.
Yeah,
Are you trying to find your family throughout the?
Yeah, definitely. Like you're separated in this kind of cataclysmic flood, and you're lost and alone, and you're trying to find your way back.
Why did you choose to go with the fantasy, like something you've created your own versus an already established animal?
Well, that's actually an interesting question. So the designer, George Jacobson, I don't know, he just likes mystical, weird creatures. He was living in South Korea, and he was seeing all these weird neon lights, and he was imagining what sort of creature would live in a world of neon lights and broken down cities and stuff like that, and up came this creature.
How much has the color of the creature iterated? Because there's not a lot of like Snow White animals as protagonists in games.
No. I mean, kind of the design aesthetic behind it is that all of the environments are fairly dark, and so you have this white contrasting creature that you're forced to empathize with, because all the creatures in this world are hungry, and they've got teeth, and they look super crazy and disgusting, and you kind of look at this white fragile looking creature, and you in amongst all of this, and you sort of empathize with it. You want to keep it alive.
Cool. So you were speaking about the designer living in Korea.
Yeah.
Do you live in Korea as well?
No, I live in Boston. Jor lives in Sweden, but then he kind of goes back and forth between Seoul and Malmo, Sweden, I guess.
Okay, so is it just the two of you?
Initially it was the two of us, or actually initially it was just Jor, and then I dragged him out into the public, and so I have to I have to do all these sort of things. But now we also have a sound designer who's helping us out, Lydia. And we have Dell, who's doing all of the illustrations and the cutscene work that you saw in the beginning. Just looking pretty nice.
And I guess everybody's remote, or?
Yeah. I mean, Lydia and I live in Boston, so that's easy. I don't think you could really do audio stuff. I do the music and the sound design, and she does some voice acting and that stuff. I don't know if you could really do that remotely as well as we can with other stuff, but yeah, Dell lives in Brooklyn, and Jor is I think he's back in Sweden right now. Yeah,
he's a moving man.
He's a moving man. He's a nomad.
So your role in the game is sound design and music.
I did level design, narrative design. You know how in game development you're I'll do one thing, and then it's well, someone's gonna have to do this thing.
Yeah.
And I was always the person doing that. So my role went from just doing music to doing everything that wasn't programming for the most part.
Okay, and was that how the type of role you've always had making games?
No, I got in this completely from doing game music. I did 11 projects that I was just doing sound design, either music, sound effects, or sound design, and I never really had any intention to be I'm going to be a level designer, I'm going to be a narrative designer, but someone's got to be those things.
So how do you find when you get to work on a project where you get to do the music and the sound effects, what type of things do you try and do to kind of bring that together to be a cohesive sound?
What, for the music and the sound?
Yeah.
No, so I'm of the opinion that you can't, I know a lot of projects will have a person doing sound effects and another person doing music and another person doing sound design. I think that's terrible. No offense to anybody. I think that's the worst way you could possibly do it, because for me as a composer and a producer, you kind of have to plot these things out. The sound effects you want to be in a certain range, and then you want to have the music in another range, and if you get to set those things, you can have it be a really tight, really immersive environment. But if not, and you're just getting you have these sort of separate things where people have had kind of different concepts behind them, and you slap it together, it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, I mean, on our project, I think the reason it works is because we have our audio guys, Power Up Audio, bringing it all together.
Yeah,
we basically have they do all the sound effects and all that stuff, and we get the narrator's voice in, we get the music in, and
totally.
They're doing their own take processing and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
So what kind of tools audio-wise are you using? Are you using a middleware for the game, or?
No. We the whole game is The whole game was coded from scratch, which was terrible. No, don't.
I mean, I don't know. It depends. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, we had to iterate so many times as a result. It was initially in this really old programming language called Lingo, which was like the precursor to Flash. It's like this abandonware, terrible.
Oh, jeez.
It was terrible, terrible, terrible. So in order to make it like run on modern platforms, we had to change it a couple times. But as a result, we were not using any middleware because there's no middleware for like 2004. No, that's actually even way too like 1998. Bullshit. So yeah, it's all everything.
So you don't have any like audio. You wrote all your own audio tools.
Everything we wrote our own, and which is good because a lot of the music is procedural or it's dynamic in certain like really specific ways. So we would have had to mess with it anyways.
So do you have a lot of like dynamic mixing that goes on in the game?
Yes. There's so the game is super huge. It's like 1,400 rooms spread over 12 regions. It takes hours to get from one side of the world to the other side of the world, and as a result, like it makes it really difficult to have. And like a lot of our a lot of the action in the game is emergent. Like the AI creatures, they have total agency over the map. So there's not really like specific places in the world where you know that X event is going to happen. So to do music for that is kind of hard. So we had to basically have the music be resulting from whatever procedural action or whatever like emergent actions are happening in the game. So we had to kind of design all these weird systems. Like each region has like 12 or 14 layers of audio that are kind of going on simultaneously, and like depending on,
including the music.
Yeah, well, no, the layers of music that are going on simultaneously.
Oh, okay, this is just music.
Yeah, but like at zero volume, and then so when like interesting events are happening, depending on the threat to the character or the situation that's happening, like different tracks will raise and lower. So it's kind of like this perpetual music-ish vibe going on underneath, but not like a music track that you recognize and sing.
Have you put a lot of thought into selling a soundtrack afterwards?
It's kind of like the soundtrack is super, super long. Like we've had a couple of offers to do by labels to do vinyl presses and big releases, like, you know, a proper release. But it's so much music. It's like, I think it's like 4 hours. It's like 100 and something tracks. So I don't know. It'll be a process just to like figure that stuff out.
Yeah, or like, do you want the ambience mixed in, or like?
That's another question. And especially since a lot of it's dynamic music, like I'd have to do like tracks that are based off that kind of, I don't know. I'll think about it afterwards. How did you guys do that?
I mean, our music's made by a Canadian rock star.
Oh, awesome.
He's the bassist of the Tea Party.
Oh, fantastic.
And he's done music on like Prince of Persia and stuff like that. So he's kind of a. He's used to make an indie game music, so he's putting himself out there. But he is kind of like an old like here's your music. It'll fit in the soundtrack well, and
it does.
And then our audio guys kind of bring it out.
Awesome.
And stitch it up and kind of make it a little bit more dynamic.
No, that's honestly, like, we had all these crazy ambitions when we started the game because we were like young little programmers going like, I'm gonna do all this crazy stuff. It's gonna be 1 billion tracks, and you know, doing it again. We
but
might,
still like
might
4 hours.
What?
Like 4 hours is a long.
It's a huge. It was absolutely absurd, and we were able to get it all done. But like, you know, it's been 5 years. We could have maybe, if we were a bit more practical, we could have cut that time down a bit.
Do you think that the music has, like, was it always kind of planned to be that much, or was it something where, like, 'cause I just imagine the team dynamics of like programmer, designer, and sound designer get together and make a game.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised there's like a bunch of music, because it's like, oh, the game takes forever. You're not going to do nothing, so you might just, you know what? I'm going to do each like individual little song.
And actually, no, you're totally right, because the reason I did this game, the reason I got involved with this game, is I saw some of the early screenshots and GIFs, and I was like, I heard all of the music in my head already. Like I knew exactly what the mood needed to be. I knew exactly what how things had to progress. And I was anxious that someone else was going to take this game and do music for it that wasn't good, and I would have been like upset if that happened.
That'd have been on you.
Yeah, that would have been on me. So I contacted Jor, and I'm like, Jor, I want to do all this music. I wrote 12 tracks, like for free, just to pitch to him. Be like, this is how the music is going to sound here. This is how it's going to sound here. And so we took a lot of those ideas, and then yes, I was like, I have the budget and the infinite scope to just like push all of that music into it. And so that's a terrible idea. I mean, it was amazing, once in a lifetime experience, but like, don't do that.
So you're in the Adult Swim games.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it's called, Adult Swim games.
Yeah.
Okay. Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah.
Got music going.
Yeah, totally.
Is that the whole weekend?
I think so. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, Toe Jam and Earl is such like a funky thing, and so you gotta have the
it's
funk
like
bass.
probably one of my favorite soundtracks.
Yeah.
Probably just mostly because it's different.
Are you saying as a sound designer showing my game, is it annoying to have like funky bass lines going on
is
throughout the time?
like the funk too much yet, or like when do you think like Sunday at 2 you're gonna be like, you know what, I can never hear a bass again?
You know, I mean, so I went to music school, and so it's just this perpetual nonstop funk bass line that like goes through, you know, my bachelor's and master's degrees.
Yeah.
So I think I'm used to it. But we'll see. Talk to me on Monday, and I'll be like, let me throw this bass guitar into the river.
So thanks for being on the question bus.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me sit down.
And is there anything else you want to plug?
No, not really.
The game doesn't have any like social media accounts or anything?
Yeah, I mean, we're at Rainworld Game on Twitter, and we tweet out GIFs and stuff like that. And the game's coming out early 2017, and Adult Swim's gonna be hyping it up. We're gonna have commercials. We're gonna have all sorts of fun.
You're gonna
stuff
have
going on.
plushies probably.
I've got plushies going on right now at Sanchi. Sanchi's got the Slugcat plushie. See, this is what happens when you ask me if I want to plug things. I didn't really want to, but now that I got me started.
Well, I also need. Do you have a personal Twitter account?
I do. It's at Bright Primates.
Do you have like a Bandcamp?
Yeah, that would also be just brightprimate.tk.
SoundCloud?
I don't know. I don't really use SoundCloud. I just use it as like a scrapbook, so not really.
Well, I need social medias because what happens is like 4 months from now when I actually upload this, not because of you, but because I'm backlogging like crazy.
Of course.
I need to go to the end of the podcast and find the Twitter account.
Gotcha.
And get the name of the game again, and then that way I can put it all up and
definitely.
tweet you and all that.
That sounds wise.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Pleasure.
And hope you have a good rest of PAX.
Yeah, likewise. Survive. 4 days. It's a lot.